Hello, fantasy baseball fanatics. How you doing? Welcome to the Fantasy MD's Baseball Podcast. Today is March 14th, 2022. This is your host, Dominic Martino, here as always with my co-host, Matthew Arne. Matt, are you happy we got baseball back? It's officially here, brother.
Yeah, bro. Yo, you're like a happy little kid over here. Oh man.
Forget about it. Forget about it.
Oh man. I've never seen you so excited in my entire life.
It's been a long time since I've been this excited. You know what? They finally sat down, got the deal done. Last minute, we get 162 games. We're not going to bore you with all the other facts. Today, we're here. We're going to do we're basically calling this the free agent frenzy episode. And there's been some trades too. So we're going to talk about those. And after that, we're going to try and fit in our top 10 consensus catcher rankings. We know we're going to hit you with the fun stuff first, then we're going to bore you after that a little bit, maybe with these catcher rankings, but we know you still need that information for your upcoming drafts. Matt, one thing I do want to say here at the top is maybe we introduce the finger on the pulse here, because this is what I want to talk about. We're gonna bring out a little segment here, guys. It's gonna be called Finger on the Pulse. It's gonna be a little bit of what Matt and I's vibe is in the fantasy baseball community at the time, as far as players, as far as thoughts, as far as opinions. And right now, my thoughts is with your upcoming drafts is, guys, get that studying done, get your own rankings done, listen to us, any other sources that you may like, and get your information ready for the draft. You don't want to go into your draft blind. I know this is a quick pickup, so I'm just saying my thoughts here is make sure you're prepared for your draft. Know what your settings are, know what your league format is, and all of that stuff going in. Matt, any thoughts for on here for you?
No, I mean, you pretty much nailed it. I mean, just, stay live, keep listening to us, keep staying up to date with the current information, and, let's just stay water.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So we're gonna lead off here. Like we said, this is basically a free agent frenzy trade deadline almost type of situation, with a big rush for everyone to get these moves in a quick turnaround, with spring training a couple days away, and spring training games a couple of days away at that. We're going to start with the biggest one so far. Matt Olsen to the Braves. This is a big one, guys. So that basically means that they're out on Freddie Freeman, and they're saying, hey, we're gonna trust Matt Olsen in the middle of our lineup instead of Freddie. We don't know what's going on with Freddie at the moment. It's still, where is he going, what's going on, not too much information. But let me give you the details of this Matt Olsen trade. He was traded for prospects Christian Pache, Shea Lanigers, Joey Estes, and Ryan Cusick. Out of the four of them, I'm only really familiar with Pache and Cusick. I know they're a little bit higher end of prospects. They should be up in maybe the next year or two. The other guys I'm not super familiar with, but I do think they could have did a little better for Matt Olsen, because this guy is just gonna rake in the middle of that lineup. I'm gonna give you guys his stats again from last year. He hit 271. 39 bombs, 111 RBIs, 101 runs, and 4 steals. And that's in the Oakland field. That's a big stadium to hit in. So he had 39 bombs over there. I don't even want to know how many bombs he could possibly hit in Atlanta. Matt, thoughts here on this Matt Olsen trade?
I think that it's depressing because I wanted to see Freddie Freeman back there.
Yeah.
But upside for fantasy, though, because you always just got to keep focusing on fantasy, is the bombs are going to come. The ribbies are probably going to be even higher because there really wasn't much on that lineup. So I was actually talking to somebody today, and they're like, "Oh, there was a couple guys slamming on Oakland." I'm like, "Who is even on that team?" And there really isn't. There's no best. Steven Piscotty, and he still had 101 ribbies.
Yeah, it's a fire sale there in Oakland, quick.
So I mean, think about what he's going to do when he has Ozzie Albies and Acuna constantly getting on base and firm. Those ribbies are going to be ridiculous. I mean, shoot, I'm going to jinx him, but I mean, there's a possible, fantasy MVP right there.
Yeah, I wouldn't be shocked. I wouldn't be shocked. Yeah. Right now, you know what, Matt? You know what? Let's do something a little bit fun here for the crowd and the fans. Let's just pull up I'm gonna pull up my first base rankings. I think I might have yours handy. But I'm gonna pull up mine. I have Matt Olsen 5th right now, which actually looks like a travesty. So I'm actually gonna I'm going to take Matt Olson, and I'm going to. I have Vlad 1, Freddie 2, Pete Alonso 3, Goldie 4. Matt Olson was 5. I think I moved Matt Olson up to my number 3, right under Freddie.
Oh,
Matt, do you have yours handy?
yeah. Guess where he is?
All right, so where do you have him?
3.
Okay, so you already had him where he should be, huh? Did you know about this trade? Do you have some inside information?
I mean, I guess. I mean, it's not like I have, the little bug in the front office and all, but I guess great minds think alike.
Yeah.
You
All
know?
right. One thing I do want to do here before we move on, I kind of just want to go through that Braves lineup because this is a free agent trade based first half of the episode, so we're gonna try and hit you with as much information as we can here, right? So the projected Braves lineup is gonna look a little something like this. So obviously with some tweaks, but this is the projected lineup. We have Ronald Acuna batting first. We have Ozzie Albies batting second. Matt Olson batting third. Austin Riley batting fourth. Marcell Ozuna batting fifth. Dansby Swanson batting sixth. Adam Duvall batting seventh. Travis d'Arnaud batting eighth. And Drew Waters batting ninth. So that lineup is literally that's almost a 1-9 there. And I think you gotta face Adam Duvall seventh, the guy who hit almost 40 bombs last year. I think he might have hit 40 bombs. I'm gonna double check myself at some point there, but he was close if he didn't surpass 40 bombs. That lineup is deadly top to bottom. I don't think Matt Olson is gonna give you a Freddie Freeman type numbers in that lineup as far as the batting average. Yeah, what happened?
Duvall hit 38.
Oh, thank you, man. So he was right. I said he was right there, almost at 40. Once again, I don't think Matt Olson is going to give you a 300 batting average like Freddie Freeman, but he can hit you 45 home runs, and 100 is not out of question for him, which I think moves him up to that number 3 first baseman where I have him, where Matt has him. Okay, now it's time for some big sad news, guys, for a lot of fantasy owners out there. Fernando Tatis has a fractured wrist. It looks like he could miss up to 3 months if everything goes smoothly, maybe more if there's a setback, maybe less if he heals faster. But that's a big blow, guys. If you have him in Dynasty, you have him in Keepers, that's a big blow. He's going to be out a long time. In redraft, it's going to be tough to place him. Matt and I have been fiddling around with him in our rankings today. I moved him down to, I think, 7th in shortstop rankings, and I moved him down to 21st in my outfield rankings. That's, it's tough. It's tough to really think about where to take him right now. I think you kind of wait. If you have to draft right now, it's tough. I'm not drafting him. I'm gonna tell you this. I'm out on him in redraft right now. Keeper league dynasty is a different story. He still kind of stays near that top end in those leagues, but redraft, it's tough to know what to do right now. In redraft, you kind of want to win this year, so you want to have a little bit more safety in your picks and the way you do things. So he's not really a guy that I'm looking at. Matt, what are your thoughts on Tatis here for this year?
So I mean, it's hard to say. It's depressing as hell. Was not something I wanted to wake up to, especially after seeing all the trades that were going down. It looked like it was going to be a good day, and then this happened. So I moved him down to my 7th shortstop, and where did I move him in, since he has outfield eligibility as well?
Yeah.
I moved him down. I can't find him this
So
but
where we have him at the same spot as short. I'm sure we're very close in outfield. So give me a little bit more thoughts, Matt, on what you're thinking about doing with him this year. If you're in redraft, if you're in keeper.
I mean, to be honest, I would pick him pretty much around the same spot that I would have picked Bobby Witt before they got a deal, and now it looks like
Bobby, you're talking possibly around pick 100 then.
Yeah, I'd feel good with that. I mean, it's not great. You're also kind of hurting yourself, but you know what? Shortstop probably, but shortstop is pretty deep this year. So I mean, if you're going to go and take that hit and possibly get him back at beginning of July, end of June, and then you got somebody mediocre filling in, it is what it is. It hurts to to pick him at pick 100, but at the same time, he comes back swinging like Freddie Freeman did back in 2017 after fracturing his wrist, and does what he did at the end of the season. I mean, not for nothing, Tatis just has a way higher upside than Freddie Freeman. I mean, it's kind of a home run at pick 100, but I wouldn't go any higher. I'm not jumping up to 90, 95, 100 and lower, because again, you have a lot of guys that'll help you win now versus the upside of a possibly almost maybe. At that point, you're going to have to work twice as hard to kind of construct another team and fill that hole since you just wasted a pick at 100.
I agree with you. You hit a great point there, Matt, that I do want to elaborate a little bit more on. So we saw the news earlier, Matt and I, and we were trying to figure out, what do you do with this news? All right. So we were doing a little research, and Matt brought up a great point. Freddie Freeman fractured his wrist back in 2017. I don't think he got surgery. The more I looked into it, I don't think he did wind up getting surgery for it. I think he let it heal. He was back in 7 weeks, and he did pretty well. He had 305 at bats after that. And this is in 2017, Freddie Freeman, after he came back from the fractured wrist. He went out on May 17th. He came back 7 weeks later on July 4th. And after that, he finished the season 305 at bats, 49 runs, 14 bombs, 46 RBI, 4 steals, and hit 292. Not saying that's going to happen with Tatis, guys. Don't think that's what I'm saying, but there's a path to where he does play better. So once again, guys, to take him in keeper and dynasty with faith, you don't question that. Redraft, like Matt said, maybe around pick 100 if you're feeling frisky, if you've had a good draft up until that point. Pull the trigger, because you know what? The guy could come back and he could still double in home runs and steals and give you a good average. But it's gonna be a tough ride with Fernando Tatis Jr. guys this year. So I do want to move on to our next guy here that we're going to talk about. Somebody who actually, I think, improved his fantasy stock a lot. This is Carlos Rodon of the new member of the San Francisco Giants now. Rodon, he didn't pitch a full year last year. Matt, if you do me a favor while I'm ranting here, look up what his injury was. I forgot exactly what he hurt, but while Matt's doing that for us, I'm going to read you his stats from last year. Last year, Carlos Rodon had a 2.37 ERA, 132 innings. He had 185 strikeouts, and his WHIP was a 0.95, and that was in 24 starts, and he went 13-5. Now, that's phenomenal, guys. It was the breakout we've all been waiting for. He was 28 years old last year. He's going to be 29 years old this year. He was in the league before that 6 years, guys. So now that took a long time to break out. And this is actually the third most innings he ever pitched. And the two first most innings he ever pitched was in his rookie year and his second year. So this is the first time in a long time he's shown us that he can give us a lot of innings. But I do like him landing with the Giants. It's a great stadium to pitch in. They're very, very good with the young pitchers. Logan Webb has been great. Alex Wood had a good comeback year last year. I just like what they do with arms. They've been known to develop arms very well. I think that he can project to possibly be potentially top 15, top 20 pitcher. I don't know if I really messed around with him in my rankings yet, but you know what? This is what we have our show for. This is why me and Matt do this, to sit and talk about where we possibly want to do things. Matt, do you know what he was banged up with last year?
It looks like, from the article I'm reading, it looks like a shoulder injury, and he was experiencing soreness, so they shut him down.
Yeah, they did. Okay,
this was October that I'm reading, so I'm sure that this was relating to them trying to ramp him back up and then getting shut down.
Yeah, I got you. Okay, so it was arm, most likely shoulder, guys. So that's always something to be cautious with. You never know. But it does look like he passed his physical and he's healthy and he's going to be ready to go at the start of the year for the Giants at the top of that rotation. Now, it looks like I have him 32. I think that is where I moved him up to. I think I might have had him a little bit lower than 32. Now, could I possibly see him leapfrogging a bunch of these guys come draft day? Yes, I totally could, because if he looks great, if he looks healthy, like I said, his upside is top 20, top 15 pitcher with the numbers that he put up last year. He's a big strikeout guy. The control looks great, a low ERA. Now, I don't expect a 2.37, but could he do like a 3.2 ERA? 160, 180 innings. The K per nine could be possibly, he had 12.6 K per nine last year. That's strikeouts per innings. We're not trying to get too crazy with the stats here, but when we're talking pitchers, I might bring up a little things that are like that. So I think that he could strike out a lot of guys, basically. Matt, any thoughts here on Rodon going to Giants?
I mean, to be honest, like you said, great landing spot. I can't really complain. He couldn't have gotten a better spot, honestly, outside of staying on the White Sox and that, with that team behind him. But outside of that, I mean, there's really nothing more that I can cover on it without getting a little redundant. So I think we just
Yeah.
kind of move on, and we can talk about Clayton Kershaw just returning to the Dodgers.
Oh yeah, that's a good one. That's a good Matt. Why don't you lead with that?
Um, I mean, it's the same old story. As long as he stays healthy, he's going to get the wins. He's going to be, the fabulous, wonderful Clayton Kershaw that we all know and love for years. And, he's just going to keep being a beast. And just keep watching out for when they talk about his back or something in that was related to his injury history. And that's how you kind of grade a when you're going to draft him. But I mean, him being on the Dodgers does not move him in my book. I think if he went anywhere else, he probably would have got a downgrade in my rankings. I'm just happy he stayed there.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with Matt here. I think this was literally his best landing point because it kind of keeps him where he should be going into drafts this year. I'm not going to reveal where I have. I'm probably going to get into that more in our starting pitcher episode. But I will read off what Kershaw did last year. He was limited to only 121 innings over 22 starts. He had 144 strikeouts, a 3.55 ERA, and he had a 101 WHIP. So, guys, he's still Kershaw-ish. The ERA is a little bit higher than you expect, but he was a little bit banged up last year. So, maybe he was working through something. I still expect if he can give you 150, 160 innings, that he's going to be, once again, a top 20 pitcher. I might be a little bullish on him, but guys, don't forget what he's been. I mean, I think it's just a health question. I don't think it's really a performance question with Kershaw. I think it's more if he's going to be healthy than if he's going to perform. Just to give you guys a little preview that this Dodgers lineup, Dodgers rotation could be deadly. It looks like there's Walker Buehler, Julio Urias, Clayton Kershaw, Tony Gonsolin, Andrew Heaney. So it might be a little light on the back end there, but that top three is very strong. Even Tony Gonsolin could be a little sneaky good this year. And who knows, maybe Andrew Heaney gets things right over there. Besides that, don't really have too much else to say about Kershaw. We'll probably get a little bit more into him once we hit our starting pitcher episode. Other than that, we're going to move on to our next one. Let's talk about Nelson Cruz going to the Washington Nationals to back up Matt's boy, Juan Soto. Matt, you wanna lead here with Cruz?
Yeah, I'm actually pretty happy about this. So I was having a debate with somebody the other day, like, oh, why wouldn't I pick Juan Soto 1 overall or 2 overall or 3 overall? And I'm like, to be honest, guys, like, there's nobody else in that lineup that's going to protect him. They finally got at least somebody that they're going to have to pitch to, which then brings up a little bit more of a pressure situation to pitch to Juan Soto. And I'm hoping they can grab somebody else so that he's just sitting in between a bunch of power hitters. Or you know what, you're going to have to do it because it was looking pretty bare. Because last year he had at least Trey Turner and who else just got traded down?
From the Nationals.
Yeah,
The Nationals really don't have anybody anymore. They did trade Trey Turner at the end of last year. They picked up Josh Bell last year,
there
so
we
I mean
go.
he's pretty good. They have a couple guys there. Since you passed it off to me, Matt, I'm gonna run down their lineup actually because I do have it pulled up here. Ironically, it's gonna look a little something like this. Once again, guys, give or take, this is a projection, so just hear me out. We got Lane Thomas, who's could be a sneaky pick this year. A lot of people like him. Then we got Cesar Hernandez batting second. Then Juan Soto batting third. Nelson Cruz batting fourth. Josh Bell batting fifth. Kybert Ruiz batting sixth. Alcides Escobar batting seventh. Carter Keyboom batting eighth. And Victor Robles batting ninth. Now, Nelson Cruz shoved into the middle of that lineup makes it look a lot better with that 3-4-5. I actually do like that 3-4-5. I like Juan Soto there at 3 hole. I like Nelson Cruz at the 4 hole, Josh Bell at the 5 hole. It gives Juan Soto a lot of safety. So like Matt said, taking Juan Soto with the first pick looks a lot better now, especially with Tatis going down. He might not give you the steals, but you know what? If you want to be safe with your first pick, take him. You can get the steals in your next round or the third round, and I wouldn't be too mad at that. Otherwise, guys, I think for Nelson Cruz specifically, I
Hold
think
on.
I think it's a good team for him. What's up, Matt?
Also, to just so you can kind of feel like you're not losing out on steals entirely. Not saying he's a steals guy, but he did have 9 last year, so those chip ins at least are
Yeah,
contributing.
yeah.
So
No, that's not bad at all. But back to Nelson Cruz here, guys. I'm gonna read off what he did last year. He didn't get he almost got a full year in pretty much. He got 140 games, 513 at bats, 79 runs. He did hit you 32 bombs, 86 RBIs. Crazy for 40 years old, he stole 3 bases. I mean, I'm not going in expecting that. I'm not writing in no 3 steals for Nelson Cruz. So I mean, I wouldn't do that. But he did it 265, which is down from what he normally does. He's normally a little bit better hitter than that in average department, but he's getting a little older. So I'd expect a similar line from him. I'm not over projecting anything. I'm not gonna under project him either. But if he hits you his 30 plus bombs with the 80 plus RBIs, the runs, who knows? I mean, if he's in that 65 to 75 range, that's a good for him. And the batting average, once again, 270, 280. I'd bank on that. So guys, don't sleep on Nelson Cruz. That's a good amount on Nelson Cruz. Matt, we're gonna move on to our next
Yes, sir.
topic here, which is this one. This gets so interesting here. So we're gonna talk about Mitch Garver going to the Rangers for Isaiah Kiner-Falefa. I like to call him IKF to keep it short, so I might abbreviate here. So if I say IKF, I'm talking about Isaiah Kiner-Falefa. This trade was interesting because you saw Mitch Garver go to Texas. Now they're trying to rebuild, put a little bit of power in that lineup with Corey Seager, with Marcus Semien. That lineup is going to look sneaky good. Adolis Garcia. They have a lot of guys that are going to be sneaky good. I think they're really trying to go for it. I wouldn't be surprised if they added one more bat to that lineup. So Mitch Garver is going to be good there, guys. He's been a little banged up over the last few years, but I do want to bring up what he's done recently. I'm going to give you that. I think in 2019 he had like a monster year, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, it was that 2019. Let me read you off Mitch Garver's 2019. He had 311 at bats, 93 games, 70 runs, 31 home runs, 67 RBIs, and he hit 273. And that's in 311 at bats, 93 games. Now, last year he fell off a little bit, but he was fighting through some injuries. He only had 207 at bats across 68 games. He had 29 runs, 13 bombs, 34 RBIs, chipped in a steal, and he had 256. I don't think that speaks upon who Mitch Garver really is because he was banged up. So I think in that Texas lineup, he's going to give you a lot of pop. He's going to give you some RBIs. He's gonna give you some runs. I see him being decent in the batting average department. If he hits around the 260 he hit this year, it's going to be very useful at catcher. Now, I actually think I moved him up at catcher. I'm going to tell you where I got him at catcher right now. I have him ranked sixth. Probably get a little bit more into that later in the episode. Like I said, I'm just giving you a little sneak preview for later on. Do have him ranked sixth.
You mean
If you want to hear more
preview?
about that, yeah. If I'm just letting the people know, if you want to hang in a little bit later, we'll get a little bit more into Mitch Garver. Now, here's where this gets really interesting because Isaiah Kiner-Falefa stayed in Minnesota for about 17 minutes and then got another phone call that he was in another trade for from going from the Twins with Josh Donaldson to the Yankees, our New York Yankees, for Gary Sanchez and Gio Urshela. This one's just mind-blowing. I think we're going to have to sit here, pick it apart a little bit, because it seems like I've disagreed with most Yankee fans. But I do want to let Matt take this one for a little bit. As a Yankee fan, Matt, what are your thoughts upon this trade?
Well, thank God Gary Sanchez is the hell out of New York.
I agree with that.
That's
I
a
second
damn
that.
blessing in disguise. I would have gave him away for a free, and I would have bought you a beer. All right. But anyway, getting rid of Gio actually really wasn't fun for me. I thought he was going to get some playing time. I thought he was going to, get that increased work and kind of show what he was made of. Even though he's on the older side, I am a real fan. But I'm sure he'll be successful. Heading over to the Twins.
Yeah, we just want to say the fantasy MDs wish Gio Urshela well, man. He was a great Yankee for us, even though he's a little banged up here and there. We wish him well. We wish him well.
R.I.P. But we're gonna have to stomp you next time we see you. Anyway,
Yeah, that's facts.
But I mean, JD is Josh Donaldson, just so everybody know. Is a little bit of an upgrade, a little bit more of a proven history. I'm not really like the happiest about it because he's on the end of his career, even though he had a lot of pop last year and. I don't have his stats up in front of me, but I know he had at least 20 some odd home runs.
Yeah, I think he hit 27 bombs last year, but I will confirm that.
Stom will pull it up, but he had a good year for limited at bats. And, he's going to be a very high end contributor for us, especially in our park. So, yeah, he's going to do wonders for us if he could stay healthy and play the whole year. That's the only reason why. And plus, Now, from a real baseball perspective, let's take it out of fantasy because I'm a Yankee fan. I'm going to complain a
Yeah,
little
of
bit about it.
course.
He's a $20 million contract, and I'm just not happy. But anyway,
Yeah.
I'm going to stop crying and harping over it. But I mean, ultimately, I think we made out like bandits as a standpoint for baseball. I think that for Josh Donaldson, he is now more of a relevant fantasy option versus being on the Twins. I did move him up to my 13th third baseman this year. Now that he actually is a factor, he's like a nice late round, especially where, you know, if you want to go ahead and kind of like say, all right, you know what, third base is crap. I don't feel like going and grabbing somebody and paying higher up for it, or I missed out on it. I'm just going to grab the best player available. I can get him at the end, and then I can deal and mitigate the damage later with Josh Donaldson. So, you know, it's not a bad fantasy option either. Even if I had to start him, that just means that I have a better second base. I went higher on second base, and third base I just missed out on. Got Josh Donaldson.
Yeah, I actually, once again, I'm going to agree with pretty much everything you said there because Josh Donaldson is sneaky good. I moved him up to my 12th third baseman, so we're basically on par with where we have him ranked going forward. Last year, I'll give you a rundown of what he did. He hit 247. That was in 500. Oh, no, I'm sorry. That was 457 at bats. 135 games, 73 runs, 26 bombs, 72 RBI. Now, if he could do something similar to that, I'm not mad at that. The thing is, I think the bombs go up at Yankee Stadium. I think the RBIs come up in the Yankees lineup. As Matt said, he's getting a little older. He's a health risk. He's going to be, he is 36 going into the season. So you never know how long he can stay healthy for. But I will give you this. In 2019, at 33 years old, he hit 259. This was in 155 games, so a full season pretty much. 549 at bats, 96 runs, 37 bombs, 94 RBIs, and 4 steals. So if he can give you a mix between what he did last year and what he did in 2019, talk about maybe 30 something bombs, that batting average comes up to 255, the runs and the RBIs are there. You're talking about you making out like a bandit if you grab him as your, third baseman, either as a bench player, utility, starting third baseman. But we like him moving up that ADP in the next coming this draft crunch we're going to have coming up in the next few weeks, guys. So don't be afraid to take Josh Donaldson. But I do want to get into this Yankees team a little bit because we're going to talk about kind of Falefa a little bit here now too. This Yankees lineup could look kind of deadly going into the season. We're talking about DJ LeMahieu hitting first, Aaron Judge hitting second, Giancarlo Stanton hitting third, Josh Donaldson hitting fourth, Joey Gallo hitting fifth, Gleyber Torres hitting sixth, Aaron Hicks hitting seventh, who I hate. I'm not an Aaron Hicks fan. Kind of for Lefa hitting eighth, and right now it's between Kyle Tagashiyosha and the new guy Ben Rodvet. I'm not sure how to say his name. I'm sorry if I mispronounced it. They're going to be fighting for catcher job, the catcher job here. Now, I actually don't really like how they have this laid out here. I'm going to be honest because I'm a Luke Voit guy, and I think that Luke Voit should be playing first. In this projected lineup I led you here, they had DJ LeMahieu playing first. So I say take Gleyber Torres out, who they had playing second, batting sixth. Put DJ at second base. He can still hit leadoff, but put Luke Voit into that lineup hitting first. Hitting sixth, playing first base. Now, here's the thing. Do the Yankees possibly go out and get Freddie Freeman? Do the Yankees possibly go out and there's not a lot of options left at first base, but do they possibly go out and make a move at first base? I'm not sure anymore. I think they need to give Luke Voit the shot and trade get rid of Gleyber Torres out of here. That's my opinion on that for the Yankees. Kind of for real quick, I think he's going to surprise people at shortstop. I think he's going to hit for a high average. He's going to steal some bases, and he's going to thrive in that Yankees lineup too. So don't be afraid to take him either. The flip side of the trade, though, let's talk about this side of the trade, though. Let's talk about what the Minnesota Twins got and how their outlook kind of changes a little bit here. They do get Gary Sanchez to come play catcher. Maybe a fresh breath of air in Minnesota for him changes things, but I don't think that he hasn't really been a great player in quite a few years. Guys, it's been a real since 2017 was the last time he was good, guys. Every year since then, he's been kind of average. 2019, he had a decent year, I guess. He had 232 with 34 bombs. So there is the chance that he can wake up and hit you that high bombs with a 220, 230 average, but I really don't see it coming. Gio Urshela going over there as well is going to be interesting for him. Maybe he stays healthy, but I don't think that run in RBI total is going to be as good as it would have been if he stayed with the Yankees. Now, I know Matt and I were a little bit higher on him in our third baseman rankings, but he's definitely moving down. Matt, your thoughts here on this whole situation with the Twins getting Gary and Gio?
Oh, again, God help him. With the, Gary Sanchez. You should post this face on the Instagram, because that's how I feel about Gary. Sorry for people that aren't seeing this right now. You'll somehow see it someday.
Yeah. Oh Lord.
But I mean, the Gio though, Gio's probably going to rake there. I'm pretty happy for him. He's going to at least be appreciated there and probably get a full-time role. That's off the cuff. I would have to fact check myself, but I think he gets a full-time playing role there. But
I think he's starting a third.
Yeah, and I mean he's going to do his thing. But I mean, enough's enough. We kind of beat this one over the head. So I think let's just talk about the next one, which is pretty interesting. There's only one important side of this, because outside of this, they gave up a whole bunch of little things for him. So it's Chris Bassitt going to the Mets. I'm a big truther of Bassitt. Dom really isn't a fan.
No, I like Bassitt. I kind of turned the corner on him, I'll be honest with you, last year. I turned the corner. Okay. I picked him up at the end of the year in my big keeper league that Matt and I are together. Kind of helped me
pull my advice.
Yeah, well, I asked for it. I said, I know that's Matt's guy. I'm going to let him rant to you, but I just said, hey, Matt, what do you think? He said, snag him, and I did, and helped me win. But Matt, what do you thoughts of Bassitt headed to the Mets?
So I'm pretty happy he's going there. For one, I love the pitching coach on the Mets, just to talk real baseball. So they're probably going to do some good things with him. The only downside of the knock against Bassitt is the fact that he's been known as an injury guy. He never plays a full season. Last year was out of his control, because I think it was a comebacker that took him out and kind of knocked him out for a little bit. So, not his fault. It wasn't like it was soft tissue or something. So, I'm going to give him a pass, because he still did pitch 157 innings last year, and he got hurt in the middle of August. So, I think he probably would have been in the 170, 180 range in innings. So I think we can count on that for this year. And not for nothing, he had 159 Ks. He pitched a 3.15 ERA with a WHIP of 106, and especially for being on Oakland, who was a 100-team playoff team, but he had 12 wins under his belt with only 4 losses. So that pretty much speaks volumes of how good he was last year and how good he could be on this Mets team, especially since I think the Mets are a little bit better than Oakland. Well, actually a lot bit better.
I was going to say that's a fire sale in Oakland, man. They're not going to have nothing left by the time the season starts.
Yeah, between them and Cincy, I don't know who's worse on giving up.
Oh, but, yeah. Well, yeah, we're going to get into that one.
But I truthfully think that, Bassitt's gonna flourish in this lineup, especially since he's not even going to be like one of the centerpieces, because I think he was one of the better arms on Oakland and kind of playing on more of a one situation where he's going to be at least a third, fourth guy. So he's going to benefit.
I think he's projecting as the third.
Right. He's going to benefit greatly. I mean, just pitching next to DeGrom and Scherzer are going to make him better. Like I said, the pitching coach. So, I mean, this is a very good situation. I think there's going to be more wins. And, I'm pretty happy. I'm going to draft him with confidence this year.
Yeah, I'm backing up. Me and Matt are pretty much on the same page here as far as the free agents and the trades has gone. I like the move there. The one thing I will say though is that it is a bigger park. I mean, Oakland was a bigger park, so the ERA might come up a little tiny bit. I'm not projecting it to be crazy, but instead of it being like a 3.15, I think it's closer to a 3.5, 3.6, which still is very, very good. I think I'm going to get into more where I have him ranked when we do our starting pitcher episode. But I do have the projected New York Mets rotation here, so I'm going to read that off. DeGrom's possibly going to start opening day. I do want to point out one little thing that is interesting for fantasy, not this year, but next year. DeGrom did recently just come out and say today that he's probably not re-signing with the Mets. So he might go somewhere else next year, but I'm not going to get too much into that. Just keep that in mind.
I think he should just go to the other borough, but that's just me.
Yeah, I know. I got excited when I heard that, so I did want to mention it because I'm sure all baseball fans get a little excited when they hear that news. So, but then we're gonna go down the Mets rotation. After DeGrom, we got number 2, newly acquired Max Scherzer, who I think is also going to be a beast for the New York Mets. Then it looks like Bassitt slots in as the 3rd, who I think is once again, I think he's gonna be very, very solid for you guys. If you can get him later in your drafts, depending on how many, once again, it depends on how many team leagues you play in. But I like him as a number 4, number 5 starter in your lineup, and I think he's not going to hurt you. He's only going to help you. Then it looks like the number 4 is going to be Taijuan Walker, and the number 5 is going to be Carlos Carrasco. Now, the Mets project to be very, very good this year. I think that the Mets look very good. Once again, Bassitt. I think the only risky thing might be ERA might be a little higher. The innings might be an interesting thing. Like Matt said, I could see him pitching like 160, 170. But let's just see, because he's only pitched over 100. He's only pitched over 100 innings twice in his career. But you know what? I'm still bullish on him. I still like him. Matt, anything else you want to talk about? Maybe anything New York Mets related before we move on?
Yeah, so there's something to keep an eye out. Something unfortunate happened today or yesterday, but somebody blew a red light and smashed and flipped. We call
Oh yeah.
yeah.
Oh, how could I forget that? Yeah.
Pete Alonso's car, he flipped 3 times. It was a brutal car accident. Luckily, he's okay. I don't know if that's going to affect his projection for start of the season, but I'm just glad the guy's okay and that nothing serious happened, because I don't think I could take 2 guys getting hurt in the same day. No.
Yeah.
It's sad day for baseball, but
yeah.
In real life, I'm really just glad that the man's okay. Yeah, he
Yeah.
had somebody watching over him, because
That's what we're thankful, especially the fantasy MDs here. We're happy that Pete Alonso's saying he's healthy. I think I heard today from a couple of different sources that he's supposed to be ready for opening day and to go forward here in spring training when games start. I'm hearing that he'll be ready for then, unlike Fernando Tatis Jr. that we spoke about earlier. One thing I'm going to mention real quick here, because it's not like a crazy thing for fantasy, but then we're going to get into our catchers. But we're going to talk about Yusei Kikuchi going to the Blue Jays, because it's an interesting move. The Blue Jays are trying to bolster that rotation back up after losing Kevin Gausman. So now at the top they have Barrios. They have they picked up somebody else too. I can't remember who it was. I can't remember who it was. They did pick up another starting pitcher here. But Matt, any thoughts on Kikuchi real quick?
To be honest, he's one of those guys that I'm not really too impressed about, but he had the upside coming over from overseas. He's my age, so he's going to be 31 in June. So yeah. I'm not really too keen on what he's going to do for them, other than probably be like a nice end of the rotation kind of guy. I don't even know if he's really going to get the playing time that he's going to get. And I really wouldn't even be surprised if he loses a job, because he didn't have a good year.
Yeah, he wasn't great. But real quick, I misspoke, guys. The Blue Jays lost to Robbie Ray, and they picked up Kevin Gausman, is what I meant to say there. So their rotation should look something like this: Jose Barrios as the 1, Kevin Gausman, newly acquired, as the 2. Hyunjin Ryu as the 3, Alek Manoah as the 4, and Kikuchi's looks like he's going to slot in as the 5. Now, one thing I do want to point out, his wins will go up. I don't know how far I trust him as far as ERA and WHIP go. Ks, he'll get close to a K per 9. So, strikeout per inning. So that's not too bad. So how many innings pitches will give you a strikeout for each one, usually.
And possibly an earned run.
Yeah. You know what? He's a late round flyer, as far as that goes, So guys, that's really it so far on free agent frenzy. A couple minor things that we did see so far today. Rumors I'll mention, see how these play out. Possibly KB to the Rockies, Chris Bryant to the Rockies, possibly Kyle Schwarber to the Blue Jays. We did miss one. We did miss one more big trade that we will cover here, guys. I totally slipped my mind and just thought of it right now. Is the big trade between Seattle and the Reds. It was Jesse Winker and Eugenio Suarez headed to Seattle. In return, Matt, what did they get in return again for them? I don't think it was a big return.
They got a bunch of prospects. And
yeah, so
nobody really
as far as
it's called Pink City.
Yeah, as far as fantasy implications for this year, guys, I think that even though Cincinnati is probably one of the best parks to hit in all of the league, I do think it helps Suarez and Winker because it's going to put them in a lineup that is trying to win. So this lineup doesn't look great today, but I think I could totally see Seattle making one more move, whether it's Story or Correa, something like that, because this is what the lineup looks like right now. Projection here. J.P. Crawford batting first, Adam Frazier, newly acquired in the middle of last year, batting second, Jesse Winker hitting third, Mitch Haniger hitting fourth, Ty France hitting fifth, Eugenio Suarez hitting sixth, Jared Kelnick hitting seventh, Kyle Lewis hitting eighth, and Tom Murphy hitting ninth. I don't know why this projection has J.P. Crawford hitting first. I'd move him all the way down and possibly let Adam Frazier hit first, who's a very good batting average on base guy. And everybody kind of moves up. Maybe let Ty France even hit second there and then go Winker, Haniger, Suarez, Kelnick, and Lewis, because I love all of those bats. I think they could be sneaky good this year. They did make some improvements in starting pitching because that's where Robbie Ray did sign, actually. Then they got their rotation is not going to be great, but it looks something like this. Robbie Ray is the one, Marco Gonzalez is the two, Chris Flexen as the three, Logan Gilbert's the sneaky one who could break out at the four, and then the five, they don't even really know who's going to do that yet. But Seattle looks decent there. Matt, your thoughts on those Jesse Winker and Suarez headed over to Seattle?
I mean, I'm happy they got Winker, especially if they're going to tank and just waste his time. I'm pretty happy he got moved. The only disappointing part about this is now they have like 8,000 outfielders, and block what's his face Julio coming up, and I'm not really happy about that. So I mean, I guess I could see with the playing time come through, because if Adam Frazier isn't really doing what they want him to do, he's either going to get moved or whatnot. I mean, he did hit 305, but I mean, he didn't really hit home runs, and he didn't drive in runs either. Only had 43 ribbies. So he just got on base and then
let him hit leadoff.
home. Yeah,
let him hit leadoff.
Julio could steal. He could do everything. So I mean,
oh yeah. Well, Adam Frazier's going to play second base. So
the
outfield, the outfield's looking like this. It should be Winker, Haniger, and Kelnick. So that's going to be tough. I mean, though, unless Kelnick really flops again like he did last year, I could possibly see Julio spending some time down in the minors this year, toning his game and getting right. And this is Julio Rodriguez. He's a very highly touted prospect for the Seattle Mariners. If you don't know who we're talking about, kind of just assumed y'all might know because he's a great player, but MD's been making sure you know everything we're talking about here. Julio Rodriguez, very highly touted outfield prospect for the Seattle Mariners, who should be very good within the next few years here, guys. So keep an eye out for him. As if he comes up this year, guys, he's a must own, must grab. Get him in your lineup right away. If he doesn't, otherwise, I'm not going out of my way to draft him and redraft, and keepers though I will. Matt, anything else before we try and get into some catcher rankings here?
Yeah, he's one of those guys. The second the draft is over, you go to your waivers and you just put in watch list, and then you put an 100%. Alert on them, and then you follow us on social media and you wait for us to tell you when to pick them up.
We'll let you know, guys. Yeah. We'll let you know.
Just best practice. Just saying. But I think we pretty much covered this. We can beat this over the head with a dead horse, but I think it's time. Let's go into our catcher rankings as we kind of got to fly through this since we're running out of time.
Yeah, so, we're not gonna kill you guys with this. We're just gonna let you know our thoughts on the position pretty much. Like Matt said, we're gonna fly through this. Number one consensus between the two of us. We both have him ranked first. Salvador Perez. Not much to be said about the guy. I'm just gonna read you off his numbers real quick. Last year, Salvador Perez hit 273. 121 RBIs, 48 home runs, 88 runs in 161 games. So he only missed one game last year at 620 at bats. Now, timeout, guys. They're gonna blow the horn. Do I expect the same thing this year? No. Should anybody expect the same thing this year? No. Do I still think he can be the best catcher in baseball? Easily. So the thing is, guys, draft him with confidence. If you get him, you know you have the best catcher in baseball, and you move on and you have a good day the rest of that day, knowing you have a huge advantage at one of the hardest positions to find a great player in fantasy baseball. Matt, any thoughts before we move on from Salvador Perez?
One thing of note, just so everybody knows,
of course.
They did take away his first base eligibility as well. So I don't know if that's kind of like a foreshadow of he's not going to get first base play anymore.
He's going to DH. He DH'd a lot last year.
Oh yeah. Hey, welcome to the new NL. I forget about these
Yeah,
things.
yeah.
New year, new deal. But yeah, let's move on. I think there's nothing left to talk about him, and we'll talk
Yeah,
about my
Matt.
boy
This is with the Phillies hat on here. Why don't you take the lead on the next guy?
and shirt.
Oh,
Um,
and the shirt. Oh my God, what a Phillies guy this guy's turning into. I didn't even know he had the shirt on too.
Never. But I'm a fan of this guy, JT Realmuto. He's one of those guys I actually had ranked one until I kind of had a, like the light bulb. Hey, Perez had a kind of a crazy year. So Realmuto is kind of like over reliable. He plays first. He's going to play DH now and get some more, rest time on the body. But he's going to play every day. He's going to hit you bombs, steal you a couple bases, chip them in, and then he's going to hit for average, especially in that Philly lineup. You can't really, you know, hate the production he's going to give you. And plus, that park is great to hit in. And I'm done. I got nothing left to say.
Yeah, no, but besides what I'm just gonna add on to what Matt said, I have him number two. Matt has him number two. He's in our consensus number two. That's JT Realmuto of the Philadelphia Phillies. I'm just gonna read you off what he did last year. He had 263. He had 13 steals, so he steals for you as a catcher. He had 73 RBI, 17 home runs, and 64 runs. That's in 134 games, 476 at bats. That's what you get from me, catcher. You can't ask for more. That's why we have him the consensus number two. He's been a very, very similar player since 2017, even 2016. He showed remnants of what he's doing now. So, guys, just draft with confidence in JT. So, nothing else really to say there about the guy. The consensus number three is a little bit more interesting though. That's Will Smith of the Los Angeles Dodgers. Matt has him number three. I have him number four. So, and that Dodgers lineup looks like it's only going to get better, especially if Freddie Freeman shows up around there. I might even wind up moving Will Smith up as well. Matt, any thoughts here on Dodgers catcher Will Smith?
I mean, ultimately, he's been kind of, you know, showing that he's kind of ready to break out. And I think last year was kind of like a solidification of the thought process behind him. And the best part is, I mean, the man, he makes me feel old, but he was born in 1995. So he's about 4 years younger than me. So he's 26 years
He's a
old.
pup.
He's a pup. He's hitting his prime. And I think last year was a step in the right direction. And he had a decent amount of at bats for a catcher, a true catcher with
Yeah,
414 plate appearances.
that's what they'll get you.
Yeah, and you know what? I'm not mad at that. And like Dom said, Dodgers are going to get on base, and if there's somebody on base in front of him, I'm pretty much going to be happy. He may chip some in. I mean, and he's going to hit a couple home runs. Oh, not a couple. He had 25 last year, and he's going to get driven home too. So the more the merrier, and the new evil empire is going to take over.
Yeah, yeah. Just real quick with Will Smith. His batting average isn't gonna. I don't know how great it's gonna be, guys. He did hit 289 in the short COVID year. He had 258 last year and 253 in 2019.
He's like
So
a
if he's
250 hitter.
I would say even if I could see him hitting 260 and that Dodgers lineup and that catcher, he's an advantage play guy. So if you wanna be sneaky, you want to take him a little bit earlier. I'm not complaining if you want to get yourself a good catcher, going forward, and I'm not mad at that. I'm not mad at that. See now, Matt, I think Matt's a little lower than me on this guy, but our consensus next guy is somebody who I have ranked third ahead of Will Smith. That's his Yasmani Grandal of the Chicago White Sox. I'm a big fan of his. I had him in a lot of leagues last year after he came back from that injury. He absolutely raked. He had a monstrous amount of home runs in a short time. I'm just going to read you off what his full season numbers last year. He had 240 batting average, 62 RBIs, 23 home runs, 60 runs. That's in 93 games, 279 at bats. So that he should, and no steals, by the way. He's not a steals guy. So he could give you a little bit more games, hopefully, if he stays healthy for a full season. Now, I think the home runs are underrated with him because that's 23 in 279 games. I think he could possibly be a 30-plus home run guy. And in that White Sox lineup with Eloy healthy, with Luis Robert healthy, with Jose Abreu, Tim Anderson, that lineup's filthy. So I think he's a very, very good steal at the catcher's position, guys. It's somebody who I'm specifically looking to pick up in my drafts going forward this year. Matt's thoughts on Grandal?
You covered him great. I'm not really too far off. I do have him down at
Yeah, I think you got him at sixth.
yeah. So he's at my sixth. It's not like
Yeah, no,
I'm
we're
too
not far
far
off.
out of him.
I didn't see the haterade yet tonight, so I don't know. I
Um,
don't think you're hating. I don't think you're hating on him.
no, you know what I really should do though. You see how I got the Yeti here? Should just get
Yeah.
a haterade for when I face it out. You know.
I might have to get you one. I'm gonna get you one at some point. All right, guys, we're gonna try and keep pushing through these catcher rankings. Our number 5 consensus is Mitch Garver. Matt, I believe you have him ranked 8th. I have him ranked 6th.
Mhm.
Guys, you're gonna see a little bit of not so much separation in our personal rankings, but the consensus. Some of these catchers a crazy position, so Matt and I are a little bit mishmashed on a few guys. So we're just going to give you the coverage of our top 10 the best we can. We were talking about Mitch Garver a little bit with that trade. We do like him headed to Texas. That lineup is going to be way better than the Minnesota Twins lineup was last year and pretty much has been for the last few years. Mitch Garver, I'm not sure if I think I read you guys off what he did last year, so I'm not going to do that again. But he has a lot of pop. I think he's going to be a home run guy. I wouldn't be surprised if he hits you close to 30 home runs. He's going to give you a decent batting average. I would think it's going to be in the 250, 260 range. Not going to hurt you. It's a good lineup. I like Mitch Garver. You're still in our consensus top 5. You're still good catchers. You're still getting a good catcher if you take these guys. Matt, any thoughts on Garver real quick?
I mean, I got no problem with him. He's, this is a very putrid, disgusting position, and
Horrible.
I usually just either I go after the top two, and I usually end up kicking myself in the butt because, I picked him way too early because it's so overinflated. Or I wait till the end, and I somehow just always end up with Wilson Contreras. So
Well, wait, time out. That's the
segue.
perfect transition
Yeah, because he's
into
the next
our
guy.
number 6 consensus
Yeah.
catcher. That's Wilson Contreras of the Chicago Cubs, who is, guys, I do want to say this, he's playing for a contract. He's
Yeah.
playing for a contract this year, so he might have a little breakout. Matt, this is some guy you really like. So do you want to take the lead on him here?
Yeah, I mean, he's somebody I genuinely go out and kind of get every year. Not just because he's like, oh my god, the best catcher of all time. No, but he's a consistent, reliable guy. And let me just pull up his little page here. So last year was actually his worst year. His first time I actually had to drop him, and I think it was more of a fluke. Chicago Cubs just are not a good team, and the fact that he's looking for an extension there is pretty depressing. I have a feeling he gets moved, if anything. But
Yeah, I wouldn't be shocked.
let me read you off 19, his last like full season outside of last year. So he had 57 runs, he had 64 ribbies, he had 24 home runs, and he had 1 steal, but he batted 272. So it's one of those things when you're drafting a catcher, especially like when you're gonna get him and like after pick 100, you just want somebody that's not going to kill you in the categories, especially since it's the position I have to start. So I mean that 272 batting average is actually like a godsend. And I mean, also, if you're looking for batting average at the end of after pick 100, it's pretty hard to find itself. So the fact that I can not only fill my catcher position, but I'm not, then I can find batting average to help boost that up. It's kind of like, okay, light bulb, I'm picking him, and it's a safe pick at least for me to help not, devalue my batting average and also contribute in other categories. So that's why I love Wilson Contreras.
Yeah, see, this is one of our first little differences. Now, I don't hate Wilson Contreras, but I'm not as high as Matt is on him. Matt has him ranked 4th. I have him
Yep.
ranked 10th. So that had led to him being 6th in our consensus. Now, as Matt says, he's a career 259 hitter. So we're gonna rank that up to say he's a career 260 hitter, right? And that's over 2,000 at bats. So as Matt said, if you're looking for a safety net at the end of your draft, who's gonna give you some batting average, he's gonna give you some home runs. I'm not too keen on how good the runs or RBI is going to be in that Chicago Cubs lineup because they don't really have a lot going on there at the moment. It's just really him, Frazier, Wisdom, and Schwindel. Maybe they get a Freddie Freeman, but does not looking that way. So yeah, it's not looking that way. So Wilson Contreras I say this is where catcher starts to fade a little bit, guys. That top 5 seems pretty strong. Now, if you're not drafting outside that top 5, I don't know if I'm going out of my way to draft anybody after that. As Matt kind of said, both of us are kind of in single catcher leagues. We're the kind of guys who like to wait on catcher, who are more of like, all right, let me see what's left at the end of my draft, and I can work with it. I'll figure it out. So let's just move on to our next guy, who is our number 7th consensus catcher.
Your boy.
And yeah, this is a guy I have a little higher. This is Adley Rutschman, the rookie catcher for the Baltimore Orioles. I have Adley ranked 8. Matt has Adley ranked 10th, so we're not too far off. He has not reached the big leagues yet, but he's a very highly touted prospect. Some people even have him as the number one overall prospect coming in this year, which Matt and I think is totally wrong. We're not really going to get into too much why, but we might have a little sneaky prospect episode for you guys at some point. So we don't want to get too crazy, but we don't. Neither one of us has him as our number one prospect going into the year. But I think we both can safely say he's top 5. Going to give you what he did in the minors last year. It was 123 games, 452 at bats, 86 runs. He hit 23 home runs, had 75 RBIs, stole 3 bags, and hit 285. So the kid does a little bit of everything. And I think in that Baltimore Orioles lineup, he's going to be a very, very good player, guys. He's and now once again, it's not a lineup that has a lot of guys. I mean, they got Cedric Mullins, they got Mountcastle, they got a couple of guys. It's going to be decent. It's going to be a little better than that Cubs lineup, which is like I like him a little bit better than Wilson Contreras. And I just think he's going to be a very, very good player. He should be up on opening day. I'm not guaranteeing that, but he should be very close to being up on opening day. Guys, draft him with confidence. Once again, this is a guy, if you can get him later, if you're waiting on catcher and he falls a little bit, or you can get him as the number 10th overall catcher, it's a deal in my opinion. Matt, any thoughts on him here before we move on?
No, I mean, I think you covered it, and you just gotta not tell your friends about him. You can tell them about the podcast, but you don't tell them about him, because everybody's gonna forget about him, because they're gonna forget about the new rules from the lockout of how the young guys aren't getting screwed. So there's a fair chance he's gonna start off the year with the club, and you're gonna get him well under the 100 pick, and you're gonna be like, oh, I got some real production.
Well, one thing I will point out, and I think this is why he's going a little bit lower in normal ADP, not what we have him ranked, but it's the fact that once again he might not be up on opening day, and a lot of these young kids have struggled last year. Kelnick and a couple other guys that came up, Jaron Duran, just a few guys that came up and they kind of struggled. I'm not. Once again, if I pronounced that wrong, I'm sorry. I apologize. But I truly do think that it's going to be interesting with Adley. I think he's going to a little bit better, a little more polished than some of those other guys that came up last year. But who knows? Let's head into our next guy, who is our number 8 catcher. Matt's a little higher on this one than me, so I'm going to pass it off to him. Matt has him ranked 5th. I have him ranked 13th. So we do have a big gap here on this one, man. That's Mike Zunino.
Yeah. All right. I mean, Zunino really just is a putrid, batting average guy. But this is pop. Yeah. I mean, he had 33 home runs last year. And
that was in 333 at bats, had 64 runs, 62 RBIs, and he had 216. But
let's put it this way: I had to drop Contreras last year. I scooped him up, and he started hitting home runs for me like there was no tomorrow. It was pretty great.
Yeah. So,
but
he's a good player.
It's one of those things too. You're going to get him so late. Again, another late round pick, another guy that I feel good about picking, even though this is more one of those guys that's going to hurt me in batting average and devalue that. You're getting him so late, it doesn't matter, because he's going to get you home runs, and he's going to get you, going to get driven in here and there, and he's going to give you a little bit of RBI action.
Those numbers translate.
Yeah,
those numbers translate. I will say this: maybe I am a little low on him. Maybe we're talking about him. Maybe I find a way to move him up. I could actually see myself moving him up to about like number 9, which I will do here. Matt has a great argument. Matt, you have a great argument here. And this guys, once again, I don't want to get too preachy because we got to kind of wrap up here. But guys, this is why we do this. And if you're still listening, this is a reward for you. One thing the Fantasy MDs preach is about sharing knowledge and sharing information, guys. We want you to be as informed. We want each other to be as informed, and sharing the knowledge with each other helps a lot. You could something like this where we actually sit and we talk about the rankings, and I'm going to move this guy up, I'm going to move this guy down. So don't be afraid to find whether it's one person or a group of people that you can confide in and really talk to about baseball. And the MDs are here for that too. DM us. We could be that people for you if you really need that. If you need someone to reach out to, come to us. But quick, that's good on Mike Zunino, guys. A lot of power. power. So I'm not mad at what Matt has him ranked. We do have him ranked a bit differently. I moved him up though. That's, Matt talking me into it. I want to wrap up here. We got Dalton Varsho as our consensus number 9, a guy who isn't, who is some people might not know about him, but this guy, he's not even going to play catcher this year, but he's still eligible at catcher in almost every single league. Now, he's only going to be 25 this year. Last year, he hit 246, had 6 steals, 38 RBI, 11 home runs, 41 runs in 248 at-bats. That's 95 games. And then he plays for the Arizona Diamondbacks. That's Dalton Varsho. Team isn't great, so runs and RBIs might not be great, but he does give you a good power-speed combo. The batting average, once again, it's not bad for a catcher. He's going to hit around 250. So, guys, I wouldn't jump him in drafts because he's not a proven guy. It's only 2 years in the bigs and not a lot of at-bats. So I'm not jumping him up. I have him ranked at 7. Matt has him ranked a little bit lower at 13th. So I'm not complaining. That's why he's our consensus number 9. And I feel like that's actually perfect where he belongs. Matt, any thoughts on Varsho?
I mean, he's one of those guys where, again, I just completely threw catcher out the window, and he's really more of an outfielder, but that just assures me that he's going to get some playing time. So, with the universal DH, with him playing center field and not having to worry about getting a break as much because you're worried about those catchers' knees. There's some true upside at this. I mean, it's not like he's going to murder you in batting average. And if anything, he's got a little pop. And if he keeps doing the stolen bags thing, I'm going to be pretty happy. I got him probably my last pick. So, I don't know his ADP off the top, but I'm sure he's buried.
Yeah, I think. See, that's the thing. I think some people are jumping him, and it makes him jump a little high. Once again, I can't confirm it, but I've seen in some mocks and some real drafts that I've done that he does get jumped because some people are a little higher on him. He does have upside. I do want to say that before we kind of move on and wrap up here. Dalton Varsho is a guy who has a little bit of upside with the steals home run combo. The batting average may not be great, but he's going to be a decent play if you want to take the shot on him. Don't draft him too high. This is our last catcher here. Somebody who I want to talk about a little bit of prospect that is only going to be 23 years old coming into the season. It's Keibert Ruiz of the Washington Nationals. He was traded there from the Dodgers last year, and he kind of flourished when he went to Washington. I'm just going to read you his he had 7 at-bats for the Dodgers, so we're not even talking about those. It was 23 games, 81 at-bats. He had 9 runs, 2 bombs, 14 RBIs, no steals. He's not really a steals guy, but he had 284. So this is a guy, who's been very good in the minors, has shown some batting average upside. I'm just gonna read you off real quick because I just kind of got to get talked about. His batting average career across the minors: 300, 374, 316, 268, 261. So he's a potential upside batting average play. He's got a little bit of pop. I wouldn't say a crazy amount of pop. But I kind of like him a little bit later. I'm a little bit higher than most people on him. I have him ranked I think I have him ranked 6th, so it's a little bit high. Matt's got him a little bit lower than me.
A little.
Yeah, Matt's got him a little lower than me, but
I got him at 17.
Oh, geez, damn, Matt. Well, can I convince you to move Keibert Ruiz up at all? My little Keibert Ruiz argument. He's like I said, I'll read you his numbers in the minors last year. He 284 at bats, 50 runs, 21 bombs, 59 RBIs, and he hit 310. So he's got some upside. That was last year as a 22-year-old. So I think he only has upside going forward. Nationals did just pick up Nelson Cruz. So that lineup's going to be a little bit better than people thought. Josh Bell, Nelson Cruz, Juan Soto. Just somebody that I like.
He's getting moved up. I don't know where yet, but he'll be up there.
Maybe. All right, it's not a big deal, guys. So that's our show for today. It's our free agent frenzy trade deadline show. Matt, you got something else to throw out here before we end, brother?
Yes, sir. So I just want to throw out there, I am working on getting our rankings out to you guys. So I'm going to be putting our rankings in a Google Docs within the next week or so. And if you guys do us a favor and prove it out, I am going to send you our rankings for free. Which may not be the case next year. God willing, please and thank you. Make this my full-time job. So
yeah, guys.
What I'm going to ask is, give us a review, rate us, and follow us on all socials, or at least some that you have them wherever. And prove it to us. Send us a screenshot of it, and then I will send you our rankings in a Google Doc. And the reason why it's in a Google Doc is it's where I'm going to update our rankings every day. So you're going to have my live rankings daily. So
yeah, guys, we update our rankings all the time,
all the
guys. So
time.
if you see something on social or anything like that, and you have any questions, that might not be where our rankings still stand, guys. So you want to reach out to us and you want to do this. And by the way, if you've already followed and subscribed and done a review, let us know. It's fantasymds@gmail.com, or just reach out to us on socials. If you send us a picture on any social media letting us know that you followed, liked, and subscribed, we will send you our rankings personally. And guys, we truly appreciate any like, subscribe, follow, comment, reach out to us. We appreciate all the interactions. We're a new show trying to grow this year. We're going to be with you all year long, every Tuesday and Thursdays, and we're here on all socials for you all the time. It's the Fantasy MDs on most social platforms. So guys, don't be afraid to reach out. That's our show for today, but we will be here with you with another show this upcoming Thursday. So guys, look for it. We appreciate you guys. So until then, see ya.
Peace.